Hello everyone, today I will introduce to everyone the movie The Hunger Games Part 1. This Titan guy is a master in hiding. He paints his hands into bark, blends in with nature, then paints his head as a rock, hiding in the gap like a real rock. But Hermich says, you two don't hide anymore, but learn to murder, because the two will have to confront a group of powerful assassins. Moreover, 24 participants, only one survivor. This game is called Game of Death. It turns out that in the future world, the gap between the rich and the poor is getting bigger and bigger. The rich eat well and dress well every day, while the poor do not eat enough. In order to survive, the poor gradually become the toys of the rich. The rich hold the annual survival game, randomly selecting 24 people from the poor to participate so that they stay in a designated area to kill each other. The last survivor, not only can escape the status of the poor, can also get benefits. During the selection ceremony, the blonde lady reached out and pulled out a piece of paper with the name of the chosen one on it. Then she recited the name Enoch Severdeen. In the crowd, a desperate little girl appeared, because since she was young, her body was weak, many diseases, participating in the game meant going to death. In an emergency, her sister Katniss stood up for her, saying she wanted to take her place in the game. This made the other woman overjoyed, because this was the first person to voluntarily participate in the game in history, so she hastily agreed. After that, her companion was also chosen, which was Vita. The two quickly boarded the train to the train station. The previous champion passed on experience to them, saying that the two must definitely attract the attention of sponsors, because after the game starts, sponsors can buy props for them. This is the key to passing the stage. When they entered the training camp, the rich people cheered happily, as if they were finally waiting for a time-killing act. After that, the rich people took the two people to have massages, hair removal, back punches, and let them wear splendid costumes to participate in the ceremony to kick off the game. After entering training, Katniss discovered that there were many masters here. When a knife hits that shot, throwing the spear at will can also hit the red heart. To attract sponsors, Katniss quickly raised her bow and shot at a rich man. Seeing the arrow hit the apple, the rich people who were playing happily suddenly jumped. Katniss successfully piques the interest of sponsors. Not only receiving sponsorship, she was also arranged to perform on stage. Katniss wore a gorgeous dress that turned a few times, and the skirt suddenly caught fire. Under the stage, cheers resounded. As she returned to the stage, they immediately attached a tracker to her body, and gave her a circular tube. When the elevator reached the ground, 24 teenagers appeared above them, where they deployed a game of killing each other. You live, I die. The countdown time begins. Keita repeatedly shook her head at Katniss, signaling her not to approach the weapon, but found the bow and crossbow close in front of her eyes. Katniss doesn't listen to Keita's advice. When the game started, everyone went to steal weapons, but Katniss was about to steal the bow when she stopped. She saw that the people who had wielded the other weapons had already begun to kill. Scared, she quickly picked up her backpack and ran away. Unfortunately, Katniss tripped. The enemy armed with a weapon wanted to kill her, but the person behind was killed. The enemy still wants to kill Katniss. She hurriedly used her backpack to cover it, then frantically ran towards the deep forest. Seeing that there was no one around, she opened the backpack, only a bundle of ropes. At this moment, 12 gunshots were heard from behind. This means that 12 teenagers have just died. To protect herself, Katniss used a knife to cut a tree branch into a trap, using a rope to tie herself to the observation tree. At this point several people were approaching. Katniss discovered they formed a temporary team hunting for lone players. It was very dangerous here. Katniss could only run towards the edge of the forest, intending to hide until the end. Who expected this action to be discovered by the organizers? They ordered to burn the trees at the edge of the forest. She woke up to find surrounded by great fire, could only continue to run, but the organizers fired arrows with fire, attacking Katniss to punish her. The countless fireballs that fell from the sky and couldn't hide were hit by the fireballs. They burned her thighs. To survive, she only had to hide in the water, but revealed herself. The group of people shouted to surround Katniss. If caught, the only way to die in an emergency, Katniss unleashes the potential to jump up the tree trunk and quickly climb up. Enemies chased to the base of the tree, frantically shooting arrows at Katniss, but she dodged. They decided to hug the tree and wait for the rabbit. Katniss saw that the wound was getting worse and worse, and could only hide in a tree. While in an emergency, Katniss was able to pull funding, using drones to deliver medicine. Katniss carefully applied the medicine to the wound. At the same time, she discovered that Rue was also hiding in a tree, only saw Rue pointing something. Katniss looked up. There was a poisonous beehive on the tree, so Katniss quickly climbed up the tree, pulled out the knife. No care about poisonous bee stings bite their teeth, cut down falling honeycombs. The moment the hive fell to the ground, countless poisonous bees rushed out. The other party was burned and scattered. Anyone who ran slowly lost their lives. Katniss slowly climbed down to take up weapons. But when she was about to continue running, he suddenly acted out of nowhere, causing her to faint on the spot. By the time she regained consciousness, the wound was covered with leaves. It turned out that Rue had saved his life. Looking at a girl about the same age as her sister, Katniss was extremely concerned. Now Rue tells her that during the time she fainted, the other party gathered all the supplies and defended strictly. Continuing like this would surely lose. They decided to make a plan to destroy their supplies. Rue is in charge of setting fire to attract enemies, while Katniss is in charge of destroying supplies. The enemy certainly took the bait. Katniss discovered around the supplies a lot of bombs, and above the supplies there was a bag of apples. So Katniss pulled up the bow and arrow. The arrow passed through to tear the apple bag. The apple followed the trajectory to fall to the ground, detonating the bomb buried in the ground. In the blink of an eye, all supplies exploded. The enemy heard the explosion and rushed back. In their anger, they killed the watchman. Katniss ran back to find Rue was captured. She rushed to save Rue. At this time, the hidden enemy rushed out. Katniss picked up the bow to hit the enemy, but as soon as she turned, Rue was hit by the spear and she died in the hands of the Katniss like that. She heartbrokenly kissed Rue on the forehead and buried her in a place covered with fresh flowers, then looked straight into the camera and made a prayer gesture. Seeing Rue died, the poor were completely indignant. They hated this game of life and death, hated the autocratic domination. This made the president very unhappy. He ordered the organizers to put an end to the riots. So the organizers blatantly changed the rules. Just forming a team with people from the same area can survive together. Katniss received the information, immediately set out to find Vita, but went into the forest and did not see him. Where did he hide? As Katniss reached the riverbank, suddenly a pair of hands grabbed her. Katniss was startled, looked down, and looked at Vita, only to see that his body was covered with moss, and his face was painted with stone-like patterns. But unfortunately Vita was seriously injured. Katniss hastily treated him, and at the same time helped him into the cave to rest. The sweet atmosphere between the two was touched. But not long after, the organizers reported that the center claimed to have specific drugs, but the organizers were not so honest, just wanted to increase the attraction for them to kill each other. Sure enough, when the two went to steal drugs, Katniss was ambushed by another player. Fortunately, in an emergency, Rue's brother arrived in time to deal with the enemy. He said this time it was for Rue. After saying that, he hurriedly left. Katniss got a specific medicine to treat Vita's injury, waited for him to recover, and then they decided to go out to see what happened, then accidentally encountered the player who ate the wrong fruit. They collect her poison fruit to use when needed. At this time, the bad news spread again. The organizers changed the rules again. They released the hunting dogs, chasing the players towards the center. At this point, only 3 people survived. They ran to the soccer field structure to hide from the hounds. Cologne knew that the only way to win was to strike first, grab Vita's neck and threaten Katniss. But he did not expect Katniss to be unusually calm, shooting down the enemy with a bow. When they thought they could survive, the organizers announced to change the rules of the game. Only one person could live. At this time, the Katniss is extremely miserable. The poor area is more and more angry. They are all toys of the rich. No one cares about their life and death. When the two took out the poison fruit to eat, the organizers began to panic. They feared this action would spark even more riots, eventually powerlessly declaring the game over. The 2 of them survived. Katniss with her reason and courage won, and received the support of the poor everywhere. But this is just the beginning. From now on she will have to face an even more brutal battle. The game is adapted from a novel of the same name. The movie has 3 more thrilling parts. Remember to follow me to catch up on the series developments.